you're probably upgrading your character incorrectly in Throne and Liberty. You might also be wasting materials, time, and money. Now, this may not apply to everyone, but for the vast majority, myself included, I feel like a lot of the endgame mechanics for gearing are not fully explained, which can lead to many mistakes down the line. My goal with this video is to explain and break down the most efficient way to upgrade your character all the way to endgame and forward. Throne and Liberty, just like other Korean MMOs, requires you to invest a lot of time into the game if you want to be competitive. Players who understand the endgame systems will be able to gear up faster than players who are going in blindly. If you're looking for the best way to get purple gear for endgame, you should watch my ultimate endgame guide for Throne and Liberty. I'll put a link at the top of the screen right now for those who are interested. This video focuses primarily on upgrading gear, more specifically blue to purple, which is currently the highest rarity. I'll also show you an easy way to make Lucent without spending any actual money. Let's get started. The level 1 to 50 journey is very straightforward, but there are some important things to consider if you want to be efficient with your time. The very first thing you should do, assuming you have the resources handy, is craft green gear for your character as soon as possible. If you go to an armor crafter in any major city, you'll see a handful of options for helmets, chest pieces, legs, etc. The gear you craft will depend on the weapons you are using, so the items you craft may not always be the same as someone else's. The reason you want to do this is because it provides a drastic power increase for your character during the main quest line, but most importantly, so you can fully level up each gear piece so you can then transfer the upgrades to blue gear later on. The quicker you level up your green gear, the quicker you can maximize your blue gear. As you progress the main story, you'll eventually be rewarded with blue gear pieces after completing specific chapters, for example. Choose these pieces wisely because it's going to be your main gear for a while. Again, select the gear pieces with attributes that make the most sense for your weapon choices. Once you complete the main story and reach level 50, you'll more than likely already have a full set of blue gear, and a majority of your accessories will be blue as well. What's great about following the main quest line is it rewards you with enough growth stones to fully upgrade every piece of gear and all of your accessories. This is the easy part though, and before we talk about transferring your fully upgraded blue gear to any newly obtained purple gear, we have to talk about traits and blessings. Traits are placed onto your weapon, armor, and accessories to grant extra stats. Depending on your choice, they can be offensive, defensive, or even utility. Each piece of gear can hold up to 3 traits. Some of the best gear traits include max health to increase your HP, magic, ranged, and melee evasion, which decreases the likelihood for other players to CC you or even land an attack. You have magic, ranged, and melee endurance, which decreases the likelihood for a player to land a critical hit, and even skill damage boost for extra power. But why is this important? Well, it's because you should never transfer a blue into a purple until the blue gear is fully traded. Why? Let me explain. If you upgrade your gear by transferring a fully traded out blue item into a purple item, you'll end up with 960 blessings. Blessings are accumulated when you attempt to upgrade a trait, but fail. You can spend accumulated blessings to raise the chance of a trait upgrade attempt being successful. With enough blessings, you technically increase the chance of a trait successfully transferring over, even if it's attempted with a blue or even a green item. For example, I have health regen as a stat on this purple chest piece. Let's assume this purple piece has 0 blessings, and I try to take a health regen trait from a green piece of gear and transfer the trait into the purple. When you try to transfer a green gear trait into a purple piece of gear with 0 blessings, there is a 1% chance for the trait to transfer successfully. 1% for green gear traits. If you try to transfer a health regen trait from a blue piece of gear to a purple piece with 0 blessings, there's a 10% chance of success each time. Every time you fail a trait transfer, it adds blessings to that purple item over time. Now, if you fully trade out a blue item before transferring its XP to a purple item, the purple item will inherit a massive amount of blessings, which can then be used to guarantee the success of the first few trait upgrade attempts on the purple item, reducing the need to buy expensive purple extracts to increase the chance of a successful upgrade. For example, let's say I want to add max health as a trait on my purple gear. If the purple gear has 900 plus blessings, that means the first few trait transfers will have a 100% chance to transfer to the purple gear. This is why I recommend doing this for the most expensive trait that you are going to apply to the purple gear piece. I really tried to explain this in the simplest way possible, but please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. One question most of you probably have is, where and how do I fully trait my purple gear? Well, let me explain. When you reach level 40, I believe, you gain access to the auction house, which is a market for players to sell gear and extracted traits. Each item in this auction house requires Lucent to purchase. There's two ways to obtain Lucent in Throne and Liberty. The quickest way is to go to the in-game store and use real money to purchase a specific amount. If you have the funds and don't mind spending hundreds of dollars to max out your character, go right ahead, it's available to you. The second way is the way I use, the free way, which takes more time but still will allow you to stack up on in-game currency without spending a single dime of your hard-earned money. The easiest way to make Lucent in Throne and Liberty is by extracting traits from gear and selling it in the auction house. In order to extract a trait from a piece of gear, you will need trait extraction stones, which can be purchased from the contract merchant in any major city, and they can be rewarded to you from weekly missions and a couple of other sources, but the easiest place to get them is by completing contracts and purchasing it from the vendor. You get a weekly limit of 420 of these, and it only costs 7 contract coins to purchase one, so it's pretty cheap in my opinion. Once you purchase enough extraction stones, you'll unlock the ability to extract traits from pieces of gear in your inventory. Some traits are better than others, which means one specific trait will cost more than the other. As you're playing the game, completing weekly missions, opening precious blessing pouches, and even getting loot drops from enemies in abyssal dungeons, you'll more than likely obtain armor and weapons that you don't need for your build. The best thing to do with these items is to extract the trait on the gear or weapon, and then sell the extract in the auction house. Just to give you an example, I opened a blessing pouch after completing a resistance contract and was rewarded with a purple infernal helm of the Herald. Even though it's a good piece of gear, it's not something I would use for a longbow dagger build. Because I didn't need this item, I went to my inventory, extracted the max health trait by using 25 extraction stones, and then put the extract for sale in the auction house. You can see here, this extract sold for 295 Lucent, and I can now claim this currency. Luckily for me, max health is a really good trait to have on your gear, which is why I was able to sell it for so much. Other traits may not sell for much, but what's nice is before you even sell an item, it will show you the amount of Lucent it was last purchased for, and the lowest purchase price available for the item currently. If you want to sell items fast, I recommend selling it for a bit lower than the lowest available price. Once you have a comfortable amount of Lucent, you can then use that Lucent to purchase traits for your blue gear. As an example, let's say I wanted to fully trait this Viper Strike crossbow. I would go to the auction house, select weapons, then crossbows, and then scroll down until you see extracts for the Viper Strike crossbow. I recommend buying the cheapest traits you can find for the purpose of fully trading the blue gear, so you can then gain the blessings on the purple gear after the blue has been transferred over. You'll purchase each trait 3 times, meaning you'll have 3 separate traits, with each one upgraded 3 times. A fully traded blue piece of gear will require you to purchase 3 separate traits. Since each trait will need to be upgraded 3 times, you'll buy 3 of each trait, but only 2 of the original trait since the item already comes with 1 random trait. This is what you should be doing before you transfer your blue gear to your purple gear. Do not transfer any blue gear until it is fully traded, otherwise you won't get the blessing on your purple, and the upgrading process will take much longer. Once you use up all of your blessings and you have transferred the most expensive trait to your purple gear successfully, the rest of the traits will require a purchase from the auction house. This is why stacking Lucent in endgame should be your #1 priority. Unless you obtain the same exact item again with the same trait, you're going to have to buy your other traits from the auction house moving forward. Overall, this game is a bit complicated, and it doesn't do a very good job explaining the upgrading process for endgame or how traits can be obtained. I hope this video is helpful. I made it so you can avoid the same mistakes I made for my first character. I wasn't fully trading my blues, and the upgrading process was so miserable that I had to create a second character just to do it correctly. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. It helps the channel grow, and it will recommend the video to more people who may need it. If you want to see more Throne and Liberty videos coming soon, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on those bell notifications. Thanks for watching, everyone.